Live. All right. So I haven't done this in a while. It just hasn't been much to there. I mean, there's really not much to share, other than the fact that the MK Ultra hearings have been delayed, which is not a surprise, and they weren't probably going to be much of anything anyway, since most of the original people who are involved in the MK Ultra, the ones that would be charged, are dead. So it's that's why they're doing it, I'm sure. So we got our folks with us. Renata's traveling, so she won't be able to. We have Shy Art, Starseed Bunker, and Charles as well. I have to go back up to the top here. I think it's some of my. So as that, this would be just it'd be great to hear folks' thoughts. I can, now that I know how to use StreamYard a little better, actually thanks to Audrey Walter. Yeah, I'll be able to bring your ideas and comments up onto the screen for folks to see instead of me trying to decipher them all the time. So, something interesting popped up today. I'm just gonna start with that. For folks who can watch it later, sorry, it's gonna give some kind of interesting, fairly useful, I guess, historical information. I would say that John Walson is creating history for us right now. So great job on his thermal telescope, catching better images not only of the moon but of craft than anything we've seen really so far. But yeah, that's so. I'm going to try. Let me try to share screen. So here we go. So if I do this, I don't know what that's going to look like. Okay, that's what we want. Share screen. There it is. Okay. No, I don't want to see that again. Okay, present or invite. Share screen. Okay. There it is. All right. Yeah, so you guys should be able to, let me just see. What does it look like on, this is the first time I'm sharing screen like this. So let's see what it looks like on, can you see this? Oh, when I bring it to stage? Yeah, right. Is this showing up? So this, go back to there. All right. Try to control this here. I shared this from John shared it, John Walson's, and then I shared it to everyone. And this picture here is one of his thermal images, telescope thermal images. I'm not a sciencey person, so I don't know what I'm saying. But this ship here is one of William Tompkins' designs. This is the one I was going to mention before. Now, where did I put that information? There it is. This ship shown here is 1 kilometer long, so 0.62 miles. So it's a little more than half a mile long. This is one of the naval. This is what Bill Tompkins, just how Bill Tompkins described this. This is something he's designed. It's a naval spacecraft carrier and a battle cruiser that were visualized in advanced design in 1954. So in the 1950s, that's when we were. The Germans were up before the 1950s, but in the 1950s, that's when Solar Warden with the Navy was launched, so to speak, from dozens of alternate configurations. So scale models of these kilometer-long craft were made. He says what we learned much later is that the 19 different extraterrestrial entities who are here on our planet right now. So according to Bill Tompkins, in the 1950s, there were 19 different extraterrestrial races and beings. And they have the ability to control our minds and can prevent us from seeing them in much the same way that their vehicles have stealth systems on board to prevent us from seeing them as well. So one of the things that, let me save this here. John is doing with these, this one, let me just stop this one for a minute and come back. Okay, so that ship there I just showed you, I'm just going to show here. This is the model. That's what struck me. This is the drawing, the official drawing Bill made for Douglas. So you can see, oops, there's it there. That's the one that John is showing in his. Let me get back here then. Back to stage, there it is. There it is there. So we have that. He has a lot of ships. I mean, there's some more. Those are more Solar Warden craft. That looks like the same craft to me. And I have a few more pictures. That's this side view, but you can see what he was. Let's see. There's another one. I think that is the same. I'm not sure because some of them are actually submarines. So another Solar Warden. That looks like one of the submarines. They were retrofitting submarines. Makes sense. Another Solar Warden. And there, again. So John has these on his, let me get back to you. His YouTube channel. But I want to just play this because this is curious what this man here. I asked somebody, I don't know if they answered me. I said, who is the guy in the, I don't know if anybody, no, they didn't. If anybody recognizes this guy. All right, so turn the volume. All right, this is quite curious here.
There at the corner, that's he's in his back garden, which is where he's got his astro videography shed.
He's saying John Walson's, and this is from his back garden where he has his astro videography setup. That's what he said there. So people saying, "What the hell?" So he's talking about John and his images here. And
you can see there that this a huge, great Chinook helicopter is literally scraping this rooftop. So this was all meant to put the frighteners on him, which worked to an extent. And he's gone.
Yeah. So yeah, he's saying that there's helicopters flying. You know, these military helicopters. This is in England, by the way, flying right over his house, and he has a lot of images. If you go on, not only join John Walson's Facebook, but also go on his YouTube, and he'll show you the harassment that he gets, and he has to be careful.
A bit quiet. And the other validation that I mentioned is that when I got so into this case, I kept writing to people at NASA and trying to get them to comment on this, and eventually got some correspondence back with a guy that worked for JPL. And he said something really strange, and his job for JPL was in video production, I think, or video. It was something to do with video analysis. So he's quite an interesting one to actually discuss this with. But he sent me back a couple of really short emails. He said, I've been still confused about this today. He said these are human classified terrestrial space flights. That's what he said. He then, after he sent that one, he then emailed me back and said, if you're going to publish that without my name, can you take the human out? So I'm unsure as to what he was saying there. I don't know whether he made a genuine mistake.
Yeah. So if you go back, this is the guy that. So the images there that this fellow here showed to the NASA JPL employee in 2007 stated, this is 2007. And the reason I'm pulling this up again, first of all, you want to see what John's doing, but so much for all that bullshit coming out of the disclosure crap, because the real stuff, they're not really, I don't think they're engaging us with anything that's of significant use in an academic way. So the email correspondence with NASA, the JPL employee in 2007 stated, this dude from NASA says the pictures that John took and the video, it's video actually, the video that John took, these are human classified terrestrial space flight, and Johnson Space Center needs these things to get them where they need to go. What? So your man here that's talking, he's like, what do you just, what? He's like, wait a minute. What do you just tell me? It's curious because I have a friend, I've got to get him on the show. His name is Lee. And we've been talking about this shit. And we're like, how the hell do they get not only satellites in space, but how do they get the space station in space? How do they get it up there? How do they put it together? A couple of guys with their pants hanging down, plumbers hanging off the ship, screwing it together? I don't think so. How did that get up there? Well,
can you take the human out? So I'm unsure as to what he was saying there. I don't know whether he made a genuine mistake, and these platforms, these ships, these platforms up there are sort of remotely operated, or whether he cocked up a bit and mentioned the word human, and there are people inside them. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. And then the other line, again, quite cryptic. Johnson Space Center need these things to get them where they need to go. Really, really quite strange. I mean, he may have been leading me a line. I don't know, but it was interesting to get some feedback from. And that was a bona fide. I've still got the email. That's a bona fide email address at NASA JPL as well. Another thing that links into this, which is sort of backs up this whole thing again. You know, you're thinking that we're shown this sort of shuttle since the Apollo missions. We're shown this the shuttle going up with its usual sort of payloads. Dropping off nice little satellites for the Department of Defense and whatever else they do. In fact, you know, if these structures are up there, the ones that we've just seen, the ones that were on the Billy Meyer video before, then it's like, well, how on earth have they got launched? If you look what it takes to get something into orbit, the actual sort of.
And he says, like, how do they get this stuff up there? Well.
The amount of fuel it takes and the power, the thrust it takes to get them out of there. How have you got these vast platforms out into space? And one of the more interesting, if you've seen Project Camelot, who've done all the interviews online and stuff, one of the more interesting whistleblowers that sort of come forward is Dr. Pete Peterson, who's sort of worked in numerous black projects. Really interesting guy. And he would
check out Pete Peterson, Dr. Pete Peterson.
So I think he was involved with some sort of Russian stuff. And anyway, he was watching Russian TV to do with some launch they'd done. It was obviously to do with the Mir space station, and for whatever reason, I think it was the people on board gave away the weight of the Mir space station. That got his head ticking, and he went and worked out how many shuttle loads that would have taken, just to do an analogy. And it came out to 5,000 plus shuttle loads to get the Mir station.
That's what you say. How are we launching these? Again, my friend Lee and I, we just talked about this. How do they get it up there? How are we launching these huge objects? The weight of the Russian Mir space station was the equivalent of 5,000 shuttle loads. Therefore, how is that much material delivered to space through conventional means? This is from Pete Peterson. And Pete, of course, knows because Pete worked upstairs.
Or whichever the equivalent was for the USA, for the Soviets, and of course there hasn't been that many declared shuttle or the equivalent in Russia runs up into orbit, certainly to put that amount of stuff up there. So again, it's like looking at this stuff, looking at the fact that we've got these platforms in space. Given what Gary McKinnon said, and given the fact that he's worked out that he thinks it was all the weight was actually lead lining to prevent radiation. It had to be that thick for the Mir space station to protect them from sort of radiation sickness. But the fact is that they didn't launch that amount of material up there. The other thing that's really interesting, I wrote a whole article on this for the Exopolitics Journal last month, and really this is really sort of going the whole night vision thing at the moment. And it's interesting on several levels. Because like sort of play with these sort of new toys and stuff. And see what.
Yeah. So there we go. Look at this. Let me stop sharing. Oops. Stop sharing. There. All right. Yeah. Back to the. Actually, Jesse heard that guy talking, so he's like, "Where'd you?" He's over here griping. Are you still over there? Yep. He's down there. I gotta grab Jesse because he's going bananas. He thinks there's somebody here. Oh my God, Jesse! What? Oh my God! All right, here he is, troublemaker. There he is. Yes, the chaperone. All right, and you're gonna just sit there, or you're gonna gripe? There's nobody here. There's nobody here. No, there was just that was a show. That was. See. You see anybody here? No. All right. Okay. There it is. Oh my gosh. I missed a lot of these while I was. Okay. What? Now we have an interrupting rooster. Interrupting rooster. Yes. Oh, disgruntled interrupting rooster. All right. Oh my God. So. Oh yeah. I mean, how do they get that stuff up there? Well. Hello. It's such a joke. All right, so I want to miss a lot of folks' comments. Okay. Oh, again, we had Ivanilda. Ivanilda, hello. So we have Vicky Grand, yeah. So Summer, yeah. So Ivanilda, Summer is rumored to be filled with shenanigans. I don't know. Well, you know, with that movie coming out, we'll just have to wait and see. So there should be. So we have Lux Terra. There should be no. I'll put some of these up so I can show. See, I can show. Thanks to Audrey Walters for showing me that's how that works. Yeah, so there should be no disclosure at this time. Way too dangerous. We need to get the idiots out of there. Yes, I hear everybody can probably what? Gripe. Okay. Say this. All right, here's another one. Starship Bunker. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about yet. Well, we do. What? Look at this. Oh. What? The comment party here. We do know about it, and I've got these are the yeah. There's one of the. This is the one of the designs again. This is 1954. This was for a mile-long which you were talking about. How do they move this stuff? So they retrofitted. What the heck? Bill Tompkins said they simply, hey, it's perfect. You got a submarine ready to go. So they took the submarine. They just put the electrogravitic propulsion principles on it. And here's one of the diagrams of oops, let me get this corrected. There, you can see it. This is the one that was the submarine, and John had a picture of one of these submarines. So that's how they brought it up there. So it says, as far as the starships, is after receiving our unsolicited proposal for what the God? All right, after receiving our what? Now that you see now he sees there's no one here. Now he's just griping. We'll go to bed. Oh my God. All right. So the Navy put out a sole source request for a proposal for exploratory star mission vehicles. This was before NASA existed. Werner von Braun, right in the paperclip. Actually, we didn't even get an RFP request for proposal. It was just slipped in under the door of advanced design. So he said. So even though we conceived the Navy's exploratory missions, we think we had absolutely no idea of the magnitude and importance of the think tank missions. This is when he was under Douglas. Unknown to us in the advanced design concept definers and there was blah, blah, blah. Think tank during the late 1940s actually defined RAND's contract mission. So yeah. Here we go. If it's this one or the other one, I think. All right, here's another one. This is from Selected by Extraterrestrials, Volume 3. I can't recommend this book enough. It's awesome. Oops. What? It's seconded by the picture in a weird angle, but I can get that. Here's another that use, and this one also definitely you could see in. That's one of the Solar Warden crafts. Also in. Those pictures from John. And as we know, of course, Solar Warden was involved, is probably still, I don't know, I haven't that I know of have not been up yet recently, thankfully. But I was on a Solar Warden craft, and there's many other interesting accounts from people who are who were abductees that they described the craft. And I just posted one actually on my Facebook page, but also on the Growing Up Alien Facebook page of a young man in Brazil. This was in the 1930s when he was taken up in obviously a German craft. And the little boy remembers some of the people on the craft, they were all humanoids. Some of the people on the craft, he said, sounded like they were speaking a German, sounded like German. Well, it was German. So you can see the rivets. If you can see the rivets, if you can see, oh my God. What are we doing here? What are we trying to do? God, it's a human-made craft, and I think I'm curious now, digging deep, How many of these are actually German? That's so the Navy League Special Projects. This is what okay. So Bill says he had a group of these. I happen to have one of the largest groups in the country in this Navy League supporting extraterrestrial missions. So these vehicles. This is only one up here. This is the one I just showed you to visualize hundreds of different types of vehicles for different missions, which we have for them. And you can see the magnitude of the dishes over there, how to handle a vehicle. So that's that. It's got a satellite attachment. I don't know if you can see it here. There it is. So Bob asked, a space vehicle? And Bill says, yes, a space vehicle. Those are built. They're operating. They are solar warding. Bob, and this is Bob Wood, Dr. Bob Wood. So Bob, Frank Chile, and Jeff Rentz were interviewing William Tompkins in this one. And Bob, so this is a solar warding craft. And Bill says, yes. So Michael Sala. So that was built as part of the space surveillance, solar warding program, space carriers, and those kinds of ships. Bill, are you referring to where it was built? Michael, no. What was the function of that in the solar warden program? Was it specific function surveillance as part of a space navy? Bill, well, actually, it was built with the solar warden ships, kilometer-long spacecraft carriers. That's the word. They were built in an underground facility near Salt Lake City, Utah, east of the Wasatch Mountain Range. It's in a big, wide valley, and the facilities are all underground. So, Bob, so they are longer than 2 kilometers, the underground facilities. Bill, oh, yeah, some of them are. Well, the transports are 13 kilometers. So that big one that looked like, so what they would do is retrofit submarines, and you can just keep building. So I wouldn't suspect that they would build these in space or somehow connect them. I don't know, have any idea how they would do that. But yeah, he's saying some of these things are just huge. So yeah. Oh, Ivanilda, I'll send you a link. So we have Stargate. Oh, Stargate TV shows. Charles. Oh, forgot. There's an interrupt. I'm getting flaps and everything. What are you doing? Oh God. Stargate. She was like the solar. Oh, what? Yeah, they're probably showing you. All right. Yeah, this is known. There's this place. Yeah, it's in Utah. And of course, if you watch that show too, the Skinwalker Ranch, for sure, I wouldn't be surprised what they're seeing are ours, you know. But these Frank Bill was explaining that they have these, you know, they're actually you can't see them, the underground facilities where these are built. There's like a table, I don't know how to describe it, like a door, right? A big huge massive door. So if you were, say, flying over or had a drone, if you were flying over this area, you wouldn't see anything but high desert. You'd be like, oh, there's nothing there. But then in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, the floor lifts up and these things come out. And it just goes back to you can't see anything again. This is the stuff we want, right? I mean, this is the stuff. He's doing all kinds of stuff here. What are you after? Look. My God, troublemaker. You're so little. No one can see you because you're so little. I know. So yeah, he says some of these are 13 kilometers, so that's 6 miles long. So Bob asked Dr. Wood, Bob. So what's the size of this one on the image? That's this one here. All right, sorry, I touched you. God forbid. This one again. All right, see this. So weird. It's like reverses for me. So that one, he says, 150, 160 feet. But there are all different missions, even support. So they got a bugger load of these things. Like a naval battle group has different support ships. This is a massive navy up there. I mean, or a space thing, whatever you want to call it. And it's like no one's talking about this stuff. So okay, you could say Bill is, you know, being creative, right? But then you have these, to me, the smoking gun, you know, is the images that John is presenting to us, because those images look a heck of a lot like, in my opinion, and I told John, I said, he said, yeah, that's Bill Tompkins. I said, because that, I can't say it's indisputable, but I can say that if of anything, these are of great interest for sure. So, so Charles, yeah, Charles, are they 13 kilometers? They're the 6 miles long. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, you know, and then you get your, you know, ET craft, they're the same thing. So we're all the same. And this is what kind of, to me, understanding this is putting the pieces together when people talk about, oh, yeah, they're waiting for, you know, the people of this Terra, whatever you want to call it, to become interstellar. We've been interstellar since 1954. And that's without the Germans. The Germans were interstellar before then. So I don't understand any of these arguments these people are throwing out there concerning the can kicking, the delays, the nonsense, the fooling around, the shit we're being, I mean, without a better word, the shit we're being told by politicians and the powers that be, you know, it is nonsense. And I guess if anything, we can call the Navy out, because the Navy should be explaining this. Anyway, they're not. And why are they interviewing these stupid pilots with their grainy images? Why aren't they? I got, look, you can't listen to this. Right, he's on the book. He's on. Why aren't they using text like this with images from John Walson and bringing people from the Navy forward and saying, can you explain this? Why aren't they? I mean, obviously, the thing, Jesse, the thing is, you know, all these people are dead. It's like, so it's just, I got, oh my God. No, you, what? All right, I'm going to put you in your chair. Are you stuck? No, he's stuck. God's sake. I just freaked you. Stuck. Oh my! What? God! All right. Well, that's my opinion anyway. Obviously, nothing we say matters or counts or whatever. And God. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Let's see. All right, here we go. So is it also clear that they are popping people that can actually do something like Amy? Oh yeah, Amy Eskridge, who I am sure figured out anti-gravity. Oh, they figured out anti-gravity along. They figured. I mean, they can't possibly be doing. I mean, they must be doing more advanced shit. My suspicion, you know, with Dr. Sal Pais and also Dave Rossi, they're I got, it's just Jesse. He's just, what do you do? All right, come on. Okay. They're likely doing more things like teleportation. They're probably doing more stuff like working with time, space, and time, and things like that, and warping, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, this is all old school stuff. The electrogravitic propulsion is no big deal. It's just it's not brain surgery, and they said they've cracked this a long time ago. So the Germans were given quite a bit of information. With some of it was from Andy's friends, the Fortix, the Altair, Aldebaran. I suspect some of those were linked to the CTRs that they're talking about in the Mass Contacts book. Oh, where is this? Let's revert. Okay, Mass Contacts. See, where is it? Mass Contacts. Stefano Brescia's pieces, 2 books, Mass Contacts and Amicizia. Also, again, all this stuff corroborates and lines up with Bob Renault So I know a lot of folks are concerned. I don't know who JP is working with. There's a lot of folks who are saying that he's likely working with regressives. I know he's definitely working with some regressives. Is he also working with some positives? It's also possible. So it's incredibly difficult to ascertain if you're not being, discerning. If I'm just going to read again from this is from Mass Context. You really have to watch who the hell you're talking to, and you can't go by, oh, they made me feel good. Well, anybody can drug you and make you feel good. Anybody can use mind control and make you feel good. So one of the W56s, this is the extraterrestrial, many different races that were involved with the Amicizia, the Mass Context in Italy, Spain, Germany, you're right, Switzerland, blah, blah. These different benevolent, you just whacked me. All right. And I'm getting hit. It's like having Eeka. He's here, by the way. Eeka's here and Will's here. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Eeka and Will. They're also here. They're like Jesse. They're like my bad pennies. So Stefano Brescia was walking with one of the W56 extraterrestrial men. His name was DM Pietro. And he's telling, they're walking down the street and this car is coming, suspiciously close. So he says, look, now the CTR, those are the bad guys. CTR, they just stands for contrary. Those are the regressive ETs. They were synthetics. The CTRs were synthetic Nordics, but they're biological. So there's no way they can breed with you. You can have a baby with them. They're synthetic Nordics, but they're biological. No way you can tell unless you're an ET and you have that technology. And he says, look, the CTRs are doing something. They're trying to hit us with the car. Be very careful and do exactly what you are told to do. The worst damage would be if they take a catch or hold of your mind. They are able to do so. It's quite easy for them. But if the mind reacts, opposes, nothing happens. If the mind doesn't react, it's done. They've got you, right? So that was a warning. An event happened to Stefano Brescia at the same time where he answered the phone. And after answering the phone, he wanted to kill himself. This is just out of the blue. And he was like, I had this intense, overwhelming urge, compel. I mean, he was unbelievable. He said, I had to fight this thing off me. He was just like, all of a sudden, out of the blue, he's making supper and then he wants to kill himself. He's like, what is going on? So that's what happened. So Amy, they had anti-gravity before. Amy, actually, speaking of which, Amy Eskridge there's a video of her speaking about dopamine, and they're using microwaves. They've been using a lot of this. This is probably going to be part of the if the MK Ultra shit ever comes out, they actually have these things on the internet on what do they call them? Isn't that awful? I can't think of the name. Patents. There are patents. I'm wrestling with a chicken here. There are patents online for likely the secret sauce for sure. The secret sauce is left out. Some of these things. So if you look up the Pleiades patents that he did for the Navy, the secret sauce is left out. But there are patents out there for mind control. And it complex microwave mind control. And that's what they use on me. And I found that taking dopamine supplements, a natural supplement from plants, from pure encapsulations, has been like magic. So she actually mentioned the dopamine thing. And likely they can get you to kill yourself, but it's murder, right? So did I miss anything? Blah, blah. I'm reading. Oh no, here comes the cat. Oh no. That's what I said. Oh my God. All right, let's see. All right. So we have, I'm talking for the public anti-gravity, of course not. Oh, okay, public anti-gravity. These things, the chat moves up and I can't. See, if I went live, you guys, I don't know if I'm hoping everyone can see the chat, right? But if I go on YouTube, it won't let me share screen or anything, so it's weird. You going live, YouTube stinks. Yeah. The public knows. The public knows about anti-gravity. I think there's just small pockets of people that might not be into science, right? That would be my guess. God, people who aren't into science or whatever. But it honestly, it's no big deal to be. I don't think people give a crap. So, oh, something heavy duty must be coming if they're prepping the Bible Belt for it. Yes. Yeah. Good luck. I don't. To be fair, though, I don't. I think most of the people in the Bible Belt are fine with this. And I'll give you, I bet you a dime to a dollar, a whole bucket load of people in that area, because of all of the military down there, have seen this shit. So I think this is possibly one of the things that they're going to try to drag out to make this, because I think what they want to do is foment trouble, right? So they're going to try to pull all this shit out with small pockets of people, assuming that, I mean, it's kind of like, come on, assuming that my aunt lives in Georgia. I used to spend every summer down south, and people aren't into that shit. There's small pockets of people that are, brainwashed in the weird religions, but that's a small part of the population. The vast majority of people in these areas, and I'm just guessing, but just from my interaction with people in those areas and folks here who probably live in those areas, they're normal people. They're not weird, So it's like, they're not that stupid. So, Charles, let's see what you'll bring up, Charles. Bob Lazar, yep. Interview also talks about the flying saucer and the element 150. Oh yes, element 150. There's different ways. There's different propulsion systems that are being done. Curiously, the little boy in this video that I shared, it's not it's one I found on YouTube and shared. The little boy that was abducted in the 1930s by a German craft, likely one of the people on that craft was an extraterrestrial, was like Altair Aldebaran. She was definitely strange. They were nice to him, but they did some weird stuff. He witnessed her go into a part. So it looks like extraterrestrials were working with the Germans and were actually boarding and, doing operations through using German craft. So he witnessed this woman. I think maybe the boy was about 7 or so, 8 or 7 or 8. So he witnessed the woman go into another area on the craft where there was a grid on the floor. And he said she poured out what looked like liquid metal, and that would seep down into the floor. And the little boy was explaining what this looked like. It looked like water, but it was silver, and it didn't act like water, but it looked like liquid metal. Well, it's mercury. So she was topping up or whatever the propulsion system, which would be how it got in German. I have no idea how German crafts are made. I know we use mercury, the Hell crafts, some of the so we talk about Pleiadian. There's a lot of Pleiadians. So you get into the Keplers. Louise Jones just talked about the Keplers. They actually have images of Kepler planets that look just like Earth. They're inhabited, of course, just like in the Pleiades. So I like to just be specific about the Hell craft, because there are different Pleiadians. And not all Pleiadians are good, and there's a lot of really nasty ones. There's a few that are benevolent. We're one of the Hell are one of them. Most people who say they're Pleiadian are either tall or a Hell. There are negative tall races as well. Actually, Linda, her family, when she left, this is before she became an envoy, she ended up fleeing and coming to Erra. That's how she met Will. Of course, she and Will have had many lifetimes together in Mars, etc. But Linda actually has done some interviews, not only on her channel, but on my channel as well, with her experiences, past lives, as well as her relationship with Will. We use his Earth name Will. He likes the name. He likes that. We don't use his birth name is Tyridion, but we don't use his name. So we use his name Will. But our propulsion systems are use doped mercury. Oops, there's another one. Anyone heard of a hologram in the sky? Oh, it's supposed to trick folks like that movie Don't Look Up. Oh, I don't know. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. Will we, or what? We always make jokes about will. All right, so that's right. Oh, element 115. I don't know. That's an Earth thing. So, bye, Evan LDSO. Hi, Ekan. Well, how are you? There we go. Yeah, liquid metal look like water, but it's silver. That's mercury. They use mercury in the propulsion system. That's what becomes a plasma. So that's what the cold fusion. That is what Sal Pais talks a lot about. They've done that. He's like, room temperature, the room temperature fusion, right? He'll say different things about that. Negative Charles, yeah, negative Tal. Tal is in TAAL. Yes. Oops. There's quite a few negative humanoid. Well, you're sitting on one, right here. That's the game, is to turn the this humanoid race on this planet into a regressive race. But that's what Solar Warden has done. Solar Warden protects the interests and the folks that are in the secret space program. What? They all explain that. It's weird. So Bill was not a bad guy. And Bill explains how when he was working in Douglas, and also when he moves to TRW, that on the base where he worked, there were they seen them. There were negative type ETs, and then there were benevolents. So the Nordic Navy, as Frank Chili often will, because that's what they called them, the Nordic Navy. So they were benevolent back in the 1950s, and this goes back actually there into the 40s, where you had regressive ETs that you're seeing that they're talked about in mass contacts. The regressive ETs that were here, many different races, working with the Nazis. And then I believe they actually, these regressive ETs likely contacted the Nazis because they figured this would be a good way for them to get in and to begin to enhance and develop on the surface their designs and here for this planet. Because it's weird. Just this. Okay. Jesse. It's kind of like a soup mix, right? You got the Terrans who don't know what the fuck's up or down. We're the chattel. We're the idiots. And we're still being treated that way. But they can't treat you like an idiot if you don't let them. That's my impression. And that goes for upstairs. I don't give a shit about them either. They're going to have to, everybody's got a lot of explaining to do. I brought it down to, there's only a couple extraterrestrial, I can call them extras. I've got Eeka and Will and Smyasi and a few of the people that I know personally that are visitors. Those are the ones I trust. Everybody else can go fuck off. Eeka feels the same way. He's pissed. What happened to him, and Will is pissed. Will kind of keeps to himself too. I think there's quite a few. I can ask them. They're here. But if you have any questions for them, they're here. Eeka says, yeah, there's quite a few of us that are like that. We're kind of just skimming under the radar. Do they know? Yes, the rest of the group knows. But there's quite a few visitors, if you want to call them that, that are very disturbed with what's going on, what has gone on, not only with the way that the humans on this planet are treated like shit, basically, but also the way a lot of the personnel and the different ET groups that were working here are also treated like disposable. And there's, it's yeah, no words anyway. So, Charles, the Nordic, yeah, they just, it's just a word. So the group that Bill worked with, and others, of course, not just Bill, there were the regressives that were also working there. They tend to be a little more secretive, but a lot of these visitors that were working undercover, and Maria Orsic was one of them. That was Jessica. She's flipped sides. So she was one of the fishy ones. and she decided, you know, that she would kind of move over. So when you look at something like, you know, the tall whites, they're not negative. They're kind of service to self. So in a sense of that, they're focused on excuse me, this weather. They're focused just on their well-being, right? And that's I don't consider that a wrong thing, because they're not openly aggressive. They're not that, and they're not a mean group. They will protect themselves, and they will do stuff like abductions if it's useful for them. So they're more of a tribal. There are many ETs that are like that. Quite, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands. It's just mind-numbing up there. It isn't the way these people talk about it, and that's just common sense. If you look at the science, even the fake science, they'll express it. What, my God, the same thing. The Drake equation. I mean, there's just so many suns that have Goldilocks zones with habitable planets, and they're people. There's things on them. And it's just a huge mix in some of these, and we're not the only shit show. It's just one big shit show, and no one's ever safe forever, because you never know when your shit show is gonna knock on the door. So we have regressive being secretive, especially those who contacted the Germans. Yeah, they well, I guess the CTRs were public in Italy. People saw them. But I'm talking more maybe the ones that are like well, obviously the non-humanoid ones. So your reptilians, your gray types, they would be more secretive. Some of the ones like tall whites that did some tall whites work with the regressives? They did. Like I said, it's all about survival. So they I don't know of any, and I could be wrong, of any tall whites that were like let's say the Draco reptilian that are really, you know, regressive type of violent, aggressive. They're not like that. So some people get abducted, and I've had clients that have had weird experiences in abductions, and they weren't bad. I mean, they're not great, but they weren't meant to be extremely, it was just a race that had some needs. So this planet, this is what's happening here on this planet, is they weren't doing anything untoward. The race that's on this planet, the Terrans, the regular people, right? You, me, and all the rest of us, even though we're envoys and we're whatever, it's a resource. And for the right money or whatever exchanges you need, any Tom, Dick, and Harry could come in here and get what they wanted and leave, and nothing was said. And that's really just the way it's being run. And of course, Solar Warden was part of that. So whether you needed snack food, or whether you needed some kind of genetic material, or whether you needed slaves, or whatever you wanted, if you just wanted to come in, do a quick abduction, take what you needed, and pop the person back down, yeah, you know, that was kosher. So. Oops, what is this? Let me pull this up here. I can't see that. Was it? I can't. Wait a minute. This thing is not. Let's see if we get the slide up. Nope. Okay, there we go. All right. So were these craft put up there in the 80s under Reagan? Oh, there were. This was in the 50s. This is Daniel. These craft were brought up in the 50s. Jesse sure is on fire. Yeah, he's a pain in my. He's sitting on my book. Oh, here we go. So I think President Eisenhower met one of these regressive ETs in the benevolent 1950s. Oh yeah, that was at Muroc. There's a bunch of stuff online if you're curious about that. Letters and documents, because I used to teach this. So yeah, there's an interesting letter. I've got so much stuff. I couldn't pull it up. I could pull it up, but I could never find it to pull it up. But there was a guy that was there with Eisenhower, and he saw. So what they did was they showed, there were some tall whites there. They showed them craft. So that was when Eisenhower was quickly whisked away. They said he had a tooth problem. He didn't, obviously. He was taken to Muroc, which is now Edwards. And the ETs were there, the benevolent group. So, benevolent, you take that with a grain of salt. That really has to do more with people than entire groups. So they had what they had planned to do was show a demonstration of what their craft do, and they did. So this guy wrote a letter to another guy, and this is in the 1950s. I forgot what his name was. Anyway, he's just some dude. He was there, working with the president. But he wrote a letter about the space beings and seeing them and the craft and what these craft could do, and how he was like, oh my God, I never saw shit like that. So so Eisenhower did see that, and they were trying to, it just go way out of hand. It is just, greed, you name it. So yeah. Oops, there it is. Yeah, well, exactly. No matter how many people are telling you it's wonderful, they love you and all that, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, ain't no shit going on that's different, right? I think for your average person, and this is something I kind of, because I was teaching this, teaching disclosure and on all that. People are interested in like, what's this going to do for us, right? And I think we should be focused on that. Like, what does this mean for us? Because if disclosure only means that the government officially says there's aliens, who the fuck cares? Like, and your average person is like, we don't give a shit. We don't give a shit. What does it mean for us? And for those benevolent ETs that do care about us, this is what they're saying. We want to do something that helps the people here, because this isn't right. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel, and then it's not, and I'm just saying this is just how I feel. It's not saying right or wrong, but I feel just totally like helpless sometimes. That is like, this is such a freaking joke. But I don't know, so let me pull this. And I'm with, and Frank and I have talked. Oops. God. None of this stuff is hidden. Frank be like, it's not hidden. It's right. It's right in your fucking face. These books you can buy. These books. This is, if people would put down all that airy fairy stuff with the woo nuts and start getting into the science shit, that's where it is. To me, that's where it's at. If you like the airy fairy, nothing wrong with that. Enjoy yourself. But try to look at some hard evidence. That's just right there. This is. We need to start putting stuff together. And me being an academic, I suppose that's where, I don't want to hear some nutcake talk about shit. I want to see evidence, like hard evidence. And the only I understand it's hard to get hard evidence. None of us are stupid, right? We know it's hard to get hard evidence. And that's the balance I'm trying to create here, is to have a place for people to come and express themselves like we're doing tonight, who have had experiences and are having telepathic experiences. And it's frustrating for people who haven't had physical experiences, but they may be having telepathic experiences, and that's legit. And they're questioning that, right? Because they're like, oh my God, there's so much V2K. The government's like, and half these channelers are full of shit. And most of these people are full, then a lot of them are full of shit. But is my experience real, right? So we want to be together and help each other with these different things that they've seen or having, working through to make sense out of it for themselves as best as we can. And then at the same time, to try to dig up information, which we all, dig up information or put pieces together for ourselves to have some kind of understanding. And I also like to add in a few things to keep people safe, right? Not to, you got to, I'm telling you, and and we're not stupid. None of us here are stupid. That's why you're probably here. Not tooting our horns or anything, but this is dangerous shit. We're dealing in some extremely dangerous territory. And thank Stefano Brescia, as well as many contactees, we'll tell you. You got to know who you're talking to. So it's so you're not just yeah, exactly what you're saying. There we go. So not only do they have help, but the good ETs also knew and did nothing. Just to, they were tied up. You know, so they're not a hive mind like us, right? So there are beings that are empathic, you know, that are sensitive, and they don't like to see bad things happen, but they also have the cojones in that they want to do something about it. And then you have a lot of other, I mean, when you look at an alliance, and there's people like Audrey Walter, you people probably go up, I'm sure many of our members have been up on some of these meetings, and you got a lot of different groups there. If you look at the alliance, not the White Hat Alliance, I don't know what the hell that is, the alliance, the ET alliance that Bob Renault is talking about, that is also vindicated by Stefano Brescia. There are 700,000 races and beings that are part of that alliance. So by the time they do something, it's a joke. So it's easier, and I think, and we understand that, we see it with our governments here, it's easier to just turn a blind eye for essentially what a lot of these beings upstairs would see. The race on this planet, the Terrans, are just they're animals. They see them, and I don't like to say that, but I suppose I kind of describe it, right? They view us as just animals, as nothing. It doesn't mean that they're mean to us per se. They don't give really a shit to rat's ass about us, a lot of them. And I say that there is economic interest in maintaining this planet as a resource, as a farm, whatever you want to call it. Because at the end of the day, they know, they're not stupid. What are we going to do about it? You know, what are we going to do about it? Yes, if we got a bunch of the people on this planet together and demanded, hey, this is enough of this shit, we're done with it. But how are you going to get that to happen? I mean, I just, okay. Oh, God, Jesse. All right. It's just so complicated. Yeah. Right, let's see. So now that in that space, we're going to cement itself in with prospect of freedom. Well, the people you've got. So in the space program, you know the leaders, right? The leaders in the space program. I don't know them. I've had only negative experiences with the Solar Warden program. They were working with regressive ETs. Of course, how would you? The United States is allied with okay, so in the 1950s, the World War II just kind of fizzled out, but we had to join them because we couldn't beat them. I don't want to say that on YouTube, might get pissed off. So we joined them. So the United States is part of them. I'm gonna write it in the, the Reich. We're part of the Dark Fleet. Because you can't beat them, you join them. So the benevolent ETs threw down some scout craft in the Battle of Los Angeles. Those were benevolents. So it's almost like a Cold War, not almost like, was like the Cold War. So there was an arms race. So you had the Nazis with their black ops, basically, but then you had benevolent ETs that were trying to infiltrate still. And they threw craft down here and that's when you got that kind of split in the military. So Bill was working with the good guys, but the material that he created was then, of course, obviously taken over by the bad guys. So Bill never had negative intentions, and Bill was largely working. This is what happened. So Bill was working with the benevolence, Jessica and all that, the Nordic Navy. They were giving him this information to build these craft. But what happened ultimately with these was that these craft were taken over by the Navy, which was, again, not good. And the Navy was at odds with the Air Force. It's just a dog and pony show. I mean, ultimately. So we have you got to be YouTube wouldn't let me write in the comments Nazi Germany. That's a historical fact. Nazi Germany, like, what the fuck? What a bunch of, it's just mind numbing. We're probably, I'm sure we're being watched by those assholes. I think somebody had a question. I have to try to find it here. Where is it? Jerks. That's nuts. You can't say Nazi Germany. It's a fucking historical. Oh my God. All right, let's see. So, okay, we got. All right. Oops, I missed a lot actually. If somebody had a question for Eeka, if they want to repost it, I can't find it. It went up somewhere. I said show. Why? Okay. What is the name of the other program besides Solar Warden? You thinking of? There was a comment from a space soldier, and I can't remember the name. There's. Let me ask. Eeka says there's a program with the United States Air Force. He says the United States Air Force. Yeah, if Vincent likes the airy fairy, nothing wrong with enjoying yourself. Nothing wrong with that. If it gets you through the day, go for it. I'm taking dopamine to get you. The secret space program for the Kuiper Belt by Superstar. The secret space program, that's Solar Warden. Yeah, that's the 20 and back. Bill actually met some of the 20 and back that were in the original secret space program. The Jersey drones, yeah. Oh my God. I'm gonna try. Let's get this. All right, slide down. Okay, there we go. Computer game started. There are. Let's just. All right. So yeah, Star Trek. A lot of those shows, I don't actually watch it. Any of them. I haven't watched. Star Wars was the only one that I watched. Yeah, Andromeda Galaxy. Yeah, there's some nasties in the Andromeda Galaxy, and they kind of show you that in Star Trek. Let's see. Oh yeah, there are hybrids walking around now. There are visitors walking around now. Well, at the time of the mass contacts in the 60s, 70s, there were roughly 60,000 visitors living here. There's many more now, hundreds of thousands of visitors. So people who were born on other planets, people, nothing is, they're not going to be walking around. Well, I mean, on the surface, right, where you can see them and interact with them. There are humans, visitors that were born on other planets that are living here. There are generations of visitors. So they're not visitors anymore. They had family here, so their kids were born here. Frank Chili talked to someone who was working. I don't know if they're working along with. They were part of like Bill Tompkins' group, and so people, the visitors, okay, who were in the Nordic Navy, let's call it that, lived here. They just live here. They live amongst us in houses next to you, blah blah blah. Not underground bases. Like they live in they have families here. So these people that were working in the think tanks, their kids actually went to school. Basically, they were homeschooled, and they were homeschooled by the visitors. What a great experience that must have been. So these people live here, and there's hundreds of thousands. There's visitors around living with us, having kids. And of course, as mentioned also in Stefano Brescia's book, a lot of these visitors that are living here and that were born here, they consider themselves Earth people. So there's really a battle for Earth, as it is up in space, on different planets. There's a battle for stuff. There's a battle for planets. There's a battle. It's all about survival. So yeah, they're already walking amongst us, but they will not reveal. This is what I always tell folks. I know there's these people who come on YouTube and whatever they do, and they tell you they're an ET. No, they're not. They will not step forward. It is way too dangerous. So could Eeka teleport to my house? Yes, but it would put me in danger. The danger, I mean, look, they're popping people off left and right. The danger is still real. So I try. This. Yes, Jesse. You want to go to bed, but I know you got a problem because you're stuck up here now, aren't you? All right, let's get this to work. All right, there we go. Okay. This stupid. Oh no! Almost lost. Wait. Okay, here. Go to bed. Look. Go. Yeah. Okay. Woo! We almost had a. No. All right. We had a rooster intervention there. All right, let's see. Let's pull this up. All right. Oh, what are you doing now? Now he screwed it up. Now I got it. Uh-oh. No, don't do that. No. Oh, now what's it doing? Crap. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. Dragged. Oh, God. No. He screwed up my thing. Oh. Don't do that. Okay. No. Okay. We're back to okay. Well, while I'm screwed up, let me plug in. Yes, you messed everything up. All right. Almost lost. Chickens. All right, there we go. So yeah. Oops. Okay. Get that. This thing is such a pain trying to get this done. All right. I have an old computer, so it's kind of. I should buy a new one, but haven't been in the mood. So. No. What are you doing? This computer. Now I got the cat coming out. Yay. Okay. Jesse's fine. All right. Okay. Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to read this question, but there's this stupid thing in front of it. No, don't do that. Jesse touched it. No, it changed my cursor. All right. All right. Let's try. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh no, don't do that. No. I don't want reading mode. Oh crap. No. It's it. Okay. Back to normal. Okay. Okay. Yay. Okay, slide this up. Okay. Now, question. Okay. Phew. When you have a guest rooster. All right. Would you steer your kids away from joining it? Okay, this is for Eeka, right? Would you steer your kids away from joining the DoD Navy? Eeka, Will, and your perspective. Okay. So Will has no kids, so he's like, we've actually had the conversation, but yeah. So essentially, it's up to them. You know, we would honor their decision. They'll know. So for Eek, I would say for Eeka's, I'm just, it's not likely. So Eeka has hybrid children because he was abducted. So he has 13 surviving that we were able to rescue. Hybrid children. They're part gray, part Ahel, part Pleiadian. So that's a hybrid. So if Eeka and I were to have a baby, if I was age regressed, and he and I, so if you have a baby naturally with a visitor, that's not a hybrid. It would be like someone from Japan marrying someone from Brazil and having a baby. That's not a hybrid, right? So they wouldn't be hybrids. A hybrid would be something. Generally, they're sterile. So his 13 kids are sterile. It's a horse and a donkey. They make a mule. That's a hybrid. So if you were to get in a relationship with another humanoid, a Venusian or something like that, and had a baby, that's not a hybrid. That would just be so. Elizabeth Clara, the famous story there of Elizabeth Clara and Akon and their son Ailing, that's not a hybrid. So Eeka has hybrids, and they're not gonna. They would never join. They're nice. They're very intelligent little kids, but they're different. They're very different, and they wouldn't have that. We've had this discussion where with our son, our future son, I've already met this. I mean, there's no such thing as time. So you can move through your past lives, and you can see a possible future timeline. So I have already met my son in the future. So Eeka and I have had conversations about, if he wants to join, because it looks like he does, a military organization. We will honor that. We don't control. Generally, everybody's different because we're people. So when I just explain what Eeka and I do, that's just Eeka and I. Like we can't possibly speak for all Ahel. That we're not a hive. We're all unique. So we would honor his decision. Yeah. So we have ancient battles. Sounds like this been going on like millions. Yeah, I think so. Go into your past lives. I mean, Linda had a past lives when Mars was getting fucked up. And like in different body, obviously, her past lives. So Linda was with Will and her family on Mars, and Will was badly injured, and they had to get him out. And that was in the Mars Wars, So a lot of shit hitting the fan. Let's see, back to where we're there. Oh my god. Okay, now it's working. So Islam folks, there are some visitors that are drop off. I don't, there's visitors that are drop offs like Jerry Wills and the description of the Aztecs Grace talking about drop off kids like I say. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to talk to those people individually if they have memories at all. Hard to say. Oops. Oh my God, it's okay. Dennis, yay, Dennis, and any wisdom from Hemelech? Oops, there we go. Okay. Do any of the people living on Erra suffer from depression even though they live in a farm? Oh, I would think so. Yeah, I mean, Eeka's like me. He does. He's like me. Me. So yeah, I mean, there'd be people who would, I mean, we wouldn't call it the same way because we would, if you think about more like Chinese medicine. So the way they look at stuff, the way Ayurvedic look at stuff. So we have a Western, we don't do Western medicine, right? So, well, my family right now is going through, they don't know what's going to happen to me. So they're highly traumatized. We have very strong emotions, so we grieve. Yeah, it's this is rough, and I think that's really what's pushing some of this stuff is you have your families, right? Who are worried about you. We're basically, we're like prisoners of war here because this didn't go down like it was supposed to, and we got fucked. I mean, so we're now in a dangerous situation, prisoners of war, on a hostile planet surrounded by barbarians and, with the hostile governments that know who we are. And if you haven't already been, targeted and attacked, right? If you haven't been in the program, secret space, and many of our people here have been in secret space program, have been abductees and blah, blah, right? Been tortured. I'm a MyLab. Eeka's been through hell. Will was almost murdered upstairs. He's okay here. He's like, yeah, he's okay down here. But they're gonna die with us. That's that's I don't, I hope we're just, no one can tell you what the timelines are. There's timelines. And the thing is with these timelines is that they're working, we're changing, we're as Sal Pais says, he who controls time. Well, we can control time. So they're fighting through time to change the timelines. So you can have a remote view, a vision right now of a timeline of, oh, it's going to be a new age, fairies flying around, blah, blah, blah. That could change. You could be given a timeline where there's a nuclear war, shit hits the fan. That can change. So they're working through timelines, and these will continuously change. And of course, all timelines happen in according to physics. So yeah, Vicky, thank you, Eeka and Andrea, and Will. Don't forget Will's here. Will's like, Will. So yeah, depression is a construct. No, well, we didn't have it until now, but people did. People losing family members. A lot of different things can give you. Not happy all the time. Everybody has there's different aspects of life that are challenging for people, and they're the same everywhere. We are prisoners. Yes, we are. Oh, Hemelech. What is he saying? Hemelech, my beloved one, had an awful experience with reptilians. Yes, we remember that one. Yeah, he was lucky. That's when we decided, you decided, and that was information was given. So for folks who don't know, Hemelech is an Altean. He is Dennis's special man. And he was on a mission, and he and another guy were ambushed, and Hemelech was taken to a Draco at a reptilian ship, and he was beaten up pretty bad. Luckily, he was rescued. It was Not good, not good. So Dennis said that she wanted to make sure he went to Arcturus to get healed so they wouldn't have all the PTSD that Nazi squirrel here is my Nazi squirrel has. We do. I said the partners that PTSD together bond together. So they just stabilized him, and then he was taken to Arcturus, where they were able to manipulate. So it's very difficult to work with the consciousness, right? To work with the mind and things like PTSD. There's quite a few visitors that have been here in battle or just been in that are pretty fucked up. I mean, the PTSD is not an Earth thing. We're all the same physically, so there's quite a few seriously messed up ET. So Eeka does not want to have anything done to him. That's his right, and he will not leave here. He will not leave this planet because he doesn't trust or anything. So here's somebody else. Darley James is being rescued by benevolent ETs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was rescued by benevolent ETs when I was in the MyLab. I was rescued by benevolent ETs when I was up on the Solar Warden ship when they were going to kill me. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're there. Yes. The Crystal Lake, that was amazing. Yeah. I'm glad, that was what he went through was a nightmare. Yeah. So does your government from Erra or leaders know about the betrayal which you guys are going through? Yeah. And what do they say about it? Does Erra leaders have a big alliance? So we've been we actually have, there are envoys here that are diplomats from Erra. So it isn't this, Erra is just one small planet. We are in negotiation, and diplomats are in negotiation, but it's really challenging. What I saw in a strange remote view, it just popped in, was there should be, knock on wood, in this time, in a timeline, a possibility, like I said, thing with remote views, where there's going to be a massive court hearings about what was done here, and again, other places too. It isn't just all about Earth. Right? We're not the only ones going through this. It's a nightmare. Upstairs is so there's a lot of, it's whack-a-mole when it comes to you have all these races, all these beings, and it's just a mess. It's like a UN from hell, right? So they're aware of what's going on. I was shown something one morning. I did a video on it, did a podcast, where it looks like in that timeline, I was taken up. Now, a lot of the ET contacts and our members here have been told that should that happen, and we've mentioned this several times, they're going to just take you up, right? You're going to be teleported up. They're not going to land in, as it is now, right? They're not going to land in your backyard. They're not going to knock on your door. That could change. So, but you do want to be aware of mimics. So regressive ETs that are loving and beautiful, and they look just like your person, right now, that's a big no, because it's too dangerous. That's where we stand right now. That could change. Yeah. So in this vision, I looks like I was taken up, mind wiped, put back in my body, and I was severely screwed up, like zombie, and were taken back home, but I was a mess. So I don't, are they going to do that? I don't know. So that was, it actually was so intense, this vision. it was like it actually affected me in this body and everyday life. I was like out of it for several days after going through that experience. It was almost like I woke up from a coma. That was that one experience. But repatriation back on Erra in my body after that experience was a very long, complex healing process. I was really out of it. I mean, out of it, so yeah, I don't know. Who the hell knows, I don't know if anybody else had something like that occur. Oh, this stupid thing. Now it's going to give me trouble again. All right. There. Woo, okay. Calm down, computer. So we have Starseed Bug. Yeah, there's something going on with me too. I'm pretty sure I'm not a normal Earthling. No, there's a lot of us down here. There's millions of us. They sent a bugger load of us down here, and then we all got, screwed. That we came down here with the idea that we would have support, but the support this is actually in Bob Renault. So if you go through Bob Renault, there was heavy coups that happened. There were massive infiltrations. So the ETs themselves were fooled. It's easy to do. So it's a mess. So you have here, why don't the good ones just stop this? They can't, because they're fighting amongst themselves. They're fighting amongst us. There's all kinds of bullshit going on. Because remember, we're an extraterrestrial. We are extraterrestrial. Everybody's an extraterrestrial. We're all in the same boat. Earth is not different. They're trying to stop a very nasty, regressive group of beings that, it isn't black and white. It's very gray. So there's a lot of people upstairs and downstairs here that are benefiting from this syndicate. They call it the syndicate, the ICC. This is an interstellar organization. Earth is run by them. You have the Dark Fleet, the Drake are all part. The Greys are all part. There are many different individuals, races, beings, and groups that are involved in this massive interstellar black market. So there's a lot of benefit in keeping this status quo. You have a lot of, so when they're doing these meetings, these diplomatic type events, you have all kinds of representatives there. There are a lot of beings upstairs that don't want Terrans upstairs. You have that, like a racism. It's a mess. It is a mess. So if everybody was, speak English here, if everybody was on the same page, could they? Probably, but everybody's not on the same page. We're not a priority for a lot of races. We're garbage as far as a lot of them are concerned. You also have, and this has been mentioned by several races, the fact that the Terran is actually able to engage in what we call psychic abilities, which are quite profound. A lot of your ETs need devices to be able to do what we can do naturally without a device. So that's a worry, because you have a regressive race that's been bred, and it's wrong. I'm sorry it happened, but hey, you have a regressive race here that's been bred, and I can feel it in a lot of people. They have a dark spot in them. They're naturally barbarians, and you have, just think about it. Go to Walmart, walk around, look at people. How many interactions with really shitty people have you had? They know this, and there's a lot of people upstairs that don't want that upstairs. They don't want it upstairs. So you have that. It's a type of racism, sure. But I don't blame them. Would you want, let's say you had a room in your house that you're renting out. Would you want someone who's a psychotic criminal renting that room? Probably not. So yeah. Oh yes, Daryl James. Daryl James was with Solar Warden. He was Secret Space Program. I spoke with Daryl. He has a son upstairs. I think he has a few. I know he has one son. I think he has several. He was working with the TAL that we're working with the secret space program. So there are many. He happened just to be working with the TAL, but there are many different ET races that are working with our military. Eeka, of course, is working with the military, right? So he had a relationship with a woman who was a tall woman. Yeah, he was up there. So, all right. Wait, we're not going to any beings that didn't look human. Please, can you say what you thought? Okay. So you have to be careful. And you gotta. I would just be very careful, and they'll respect this. Non-regressive ETs will respect this. They will understand what we're going through here. They will understand that literally right now you can't trust anyone. You can't trust any information. You can't trust a thing. That's how bad it is right here, right now. There's, you've got clones, you've got mimics, you've got regressive ETs that shapeshift. You don't know who the fuck you're talking to. And they can, and as it's been mentioned by not only Eeka, but other ETs, they can mind control you. So it's and Eeka, I was always stressing this. So he's a wet hen, so he's always overly, cautious. But But I agree with him. You can never be too cautious. The Lyrans, the Irma and the Lan, they're wonderful. The real Irma and the Lan, they are awesome people. But like I say, unless they're if you are one of them, the current concept is that they're just going to come and teleport you up. I would not engage with any, and Eeka always says this, ETs, unless you're meeting them in a cafe in public, and they won't reveal that. They can't reveal that. It puts them in danger if they reveal that they're ETs. But if you end up with a really nice relationship with a few of them and they reveal themselves, well, you're not going to see any lions walking on, cat people. You're not going to see any non-humanoids walking down the streets yet. So it is possible that you can be working with and meet people who, and they may suggest that to you. They may telepath with you that they won't say it outright, but you may get the impression that, yeah, they're not from here. And that's fine because they're interacting, you just got to be, this stuff that JP's doing, that's just really dangerous. And I'm not saying he's not doing it. I have nothing against JP. I have great respect for him. I just think he needs to be careful. And people in the SSP are all coming forward. They're like, dude, you don't know what you're taking way too many risks. Yeah. So Daryl James interview, he talks about, yep. Yeah, Daryl James. Yep. Let's see. Why is it so messy in the Galactic? I know because everybody's a nut. I don't know. People are it's. I don't know. You know how it is. Yep. One thing I learned is stay home. Don't leave. Stay home. Stay the hell home. That's one thing I learned. So if they say, as some, that Earth is a school, yes, I learned stay the hell home on your planet. Don't leave. But you've got ET here, humanoid ET, that fled their planets because their planets were shit shows, and they came here trying to build a life here because it was better. Earth is a nice planet, and that's why hey, there you go. You know when you got something nice. Earth is a nice planet, and everybody wants a piece of it. So, greed. You don't think they're greedy up there? It's greed. It's survival. Races are trying to survive. Oh, so their memories. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. A lot of things. They just come. Allow them to happen. When they happen, they happen. Right? Set intentions to go back. Your memories are your memories. You don't have to pay anyone to give you your memories. You don't. They're yours. They belong to you. So go back, and you'll get things when it's when it's happening. I don't know what, it's, you can't, like, I learned, I worked, actually just talking to Louise Jones the other day. I learned under Louise Jones. And I've known her now for about 10 years. So it's pretty wild, but, yeah, you just, and it took a long time. I mean, I've known Louise, like I said, for 10 years, and it took me a long time to be able to like do it like that. And, some people it could be overnight. You'll be able to do it. It's just, it's your body. Let it happen, so oh no, we don't have 800. Eeka has, oh my God, if you ever came over with 800 kids. He's got 13 hybrids back home. They're different. They're very different. They're lovely, sweet kids. One of the boys, the oldest boy, is with my brother. He's learning how to be a pilot. So my brother's a commercial pilot on Erra. So he's learning how to do that. And I remember, when I was a kid, I remember my brother is much older than me. He was a teenager when I was born on Erra. And now this is my Earth body, by the way. I'm not just like you guys. It's my consciousness was put into this, and they do this in the Secret Space program. They just pop you into different bodies. They take your consciousness out, they pop it into clones, right? That can happen. A lot of people have had that happen. So the ETs do that. They just take your consciousness out and they pop it into another body. My body is in stasis. The body that I was born in, I'm a walk-in. So the consciousness came into this body when the body was 2 or 3 years old. I can't really remember when. So I remember growing up. I remember what it was like. And it's funny because I was just talking to my friend Patrick. So Patrick is a tall envoy. And we have lifetimes together. So Patrick is here doing mission 2. Patrick and I are trauma bonded. We were both trauma bonded at MIT Lincoln Labs. So we were just saying that, wow, wouldn't it be a miracle if children on Earth were raised, by and large, with nurturing, with love, with adoration. It would be a different planet. That's really all it is, right? How you raise your children. It's everything. Our children are everything. We're very family. The Erra Hell are very, very family oriented. Everything is all about family. Everything is all about innocence. It's all about sustainability. It's all about creating an ecosystem for our survival. And it all begins with deliberate, very conscious creation of a child. That's the biggest thing you'll ever do in our culture. Having a baby or having babies is the most important thing, the biggest thing, the heaviest thing, the most weight that will be with you for your entire life, if not more than one life. Our children, and it's not just us. Remember, your children, oftentimes, you've had past lives with them. So I suspect, this is interesting, that my son that I will have with Eeka is my father, and this my Earth father who's passed. I think he's going to reincarnate. Well, not reincarnate, but I think that consciousness is going to be my son. So children come in the world knowing who they were. This idea of a mind wipe is not correct. The mind wipe actually happens. Think about this. Little kids on Earth see ghosts. They remember their past lives, just like animals do, until they're told it's wrong. So what we do to our children is shame them. We control them. We shame them. So the kids on this planet, when they're born, when they're maturing, have past life memories until that's removed. On Erra, that's known, that's encouraged. So there isn't anything different. This is what we're trying to tell, and Eeka agrees on this. This is what we're trying to tell Earth people: is you're not less than, you're not different than other races, like say Thea Hell, you can have and be everything that they have on Erra. Unfortunately, what happens on this planet is the degradation of children. And it pains me so much when I see that. And I don't, and it's the parents aren't doing it on purpose. The parents, and this is what they've all done. The parents are stressed out, right? You know, it's hard here. So, but they don't understand that when you have a 6-year-old or 7 or 8, 9, 10-year-old child, and you yell at them, what the child hears is shame. And you, oh, I just, you know, they don't, children, you can explain all you want, but children feel when their parents, you know, do things to them. And you can probably remember back in your childhood here. So I'm, and for many of us, you try to remember, and that's a great way to heal your child. And it's not your parents' fault. You know, your parents did the best with what they had. They weren't doing it to be bad. But what they did damaged you, right? So the typical disciplining of children on this planet, the typical is very damaging, is based on shame. And that's probably one of the worst things you can do to somebody. And you carry that, you know. But one way to heal that, the child self, is to remember the childhood that you had back on your home planet before you became an envoy. And to feel into the love and the nurturing and the innocence and the valuing of you. You can't spoil a child enough. When I mean that by value, you can't overvalue your children. That's our secret. If anything, we could share, is that our children are everything, and we value them, and we show them that. So, yeah, I mean, go back, and it's actually quite healing to feel your childhood back home, the way it should be done. It's like, so yeah, what is this? Well, it's almost 9 o'clock, so I'll be having to. We should do actually for the Facebook group. God, this thing is doing this again. Now I don't need this. Sometimes my cursor does weird things. Okay, let's see if we get to work. God's sakes. We should do just a Zoom chat again. I haven't been able to. I've been so busy with farming. You know. We can have a Zoom chat. I'll set something up on our Facebook group so folks can where we all get together and everybody just chats, like not like this, but where we can chat. Let's see. Oh, I saw just did I see Jupiter Ascending? I did see that movie. Yep, that's I would say it's accurate, but yeah, I mean it's the way they show spaces is grungy and like greed, and yeah, that's sure. Yep. So when we die, we could wake up in our real body. Well, so what would happen is death is just the physical body. You can't die. The consciousness can't die. So the physical body, this will happen on your, everybody dies, right? So your physical body goes. The plan is that they will then take your physical body, take your consciousness and put it back. We don't, I mean, right now, the way the timelines are going, I don't know. So ideally, they're going to take us up in our bodies, in these bodies, and you're going to have a choice whether you want to stay in this body and age regress it, heal it up, or do you want to go into stasis? So they'll put you in stasis and pop your body out, pop your consciousness. You can go back into your body. That's the ideal way that's going to happen. Ideally, they pull this physical body up, it goes into stasis, your consciousness is then transferred, and you wake up in your real body. This body is just a shell, it will be destroyed. if you were to say die here now, I mean, an accident, whatever, they knock on wood, but that's up to you, would take your consciousness. You always have the choice to continue into, whatever happens. You have a choice to go back into the universe, concierge, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I'm not going to even try to tell you what it's like to be dead. And I don't think anyone really can. But whatever happens, that's up again. That's your choice. Yeah. How many? Here's it. How many children do the Erra Hell have on average per family unit or partner? It's up to the people. There's just me and my brother. Eeka has 2 sisters. Will has a sister and a brother. It seems to be like we have 2 or 3 as an average. Yep. So my brother was, like I said, a teenager when I was born. So we remembered when he was first working as a pilot on the commercial vessels, and they would go, into deep space, and we were really concerned for his safety. It's kind of ironic that we were so concerned for his safety going into deep space, and then here I am, like in Eeka and all. We're in real danger. Like, yeah. So Dennis, any news from Hemelech? Any current? What's he doing now? Vincent, can you split the consciousness and still be alive in both bodies? You can. It's not normally done. I wouldn't recommend that. So the regressives do that. Not recommended. You don't really want to start splitting your consciousness. So the hell, we don't even do, we don't do clones. We don't even like to use, because I talked about this with Eeka, because I don't want to give birth. So natural childbirth is sacred for us. We don't even do the pods, really. We can, but we don't like to do that. It is done sometimes, but yeah. I guess the moral technology is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that's what we're seeing here on Earth is, this technology that beings have created, right? I mean, the technology is so dangerous, and we're seeing it. It's scary. And like I said, don't leave home. Right? So okay, here's some. He went to Erra. Yeah, he did. Went to Erra for a big meeting. Yeah, all is on hold. Yeah. I suspect they're waiting to see where this disclosure shit goes and stuff, but it's you can have a split. You can have a split, just not recommended. So it's totally doable. They can split your consciousness up into many fragments. That's when it gets. This is what's so dangerous with what could happen here. So it's no bueno with that kind of shit. So there is a lot of races and beings that have either become synthetic or that have totally, screwed themselves up. So the grays, the Nebu grays, the people talk about little grays, those little grays that the classic little grays, right? From Orion, they fucked themselves up so bad. Oh, a lot of places have. Dennis, so he's back with the Confederation. Okay. Rebecca. Oh yeah, Rebecca went. Well, yeah, Rebecca was Darkfleet. They did everything to Rebecca. I mean, I don't think there's anything they didn't do. Oh yeah. So Nathan Sisek, I don't remember getting cloned. I would imagine I just can't remember any. I can't connect with any clones. Nathan's been cloned. So it gets they start to split you. You know that's when you have your alters. So I know they made an alter, but it stayed in my head. It stayed in me. The alter that, because I have an AI, and that I guess fucked up the regressive ET MyLab military alliance when they were trying to Stranger Things me to get the they were trying to weaponize and I don't know and understand so that they could use my telepathic abilities. So they wanted to use me as a mind control device. They would use me as a television set where I would be drugged and they would remote view through me. So they were trying to figure out how they could use this kind of stuff, and it would glitch on them. So they tried to fracture me. They used trauma to fracture you. But what happened was the alter is in me. So I have an alter. It's a rage alter. Something was happening. So I just remember one day, this was in Maynard. No, this was in oh my God, Sudbury. The Fort Devens Raytheon Sudbury underground base. There's a Fort Devens base. There's nothing there in Sudbury, and it goes underground, and that's where they had the MyLabs. And there's a circle in Massachusetts. There's tons of this in Massachusetts. So the Maynard base, the Sudbury base underground. I suspect what they were going to do to me. I just remembered being on a steel table, and they were wheeling me down, and two blonde ET teleported in and got me out. So I think they did a fade. I don't know how they did it, but they just got me out, and then you wake up in your bed. So yeah, they ultimately were going to kill me. They're not interested in killing me now, and I'm fascinated by that. I don't understand why. It's interesting. I don't know why they won't kill me, because I've told them, and they won't. I want to know, I want to know. So we have okay. So oh yeah, you can split consciousness. We have Starseed. You can split consciousnesses. Oh, they can fuck you. They can take your consciousness out and put it in a machine. They actually were going to do that to Eeka. That was one of the plans. They were going to kill him, and then he's okay. I have to kind of be careful. He's okay. All right, I'm gonna. So they were going to kill him, take his consciousness out, and then use it, fracture it in different. So basically, you could almost, for an unlimited amount of time, be locked into a machine. These are the nightmare scenarios that they do. They will take your conscious, and they have taken not only pure there are consciousnesses that are non-physical consciousnesses, and they take those and they enslave them. They can also take biological consciousnesses and enslave you. So you could be locked basically for eternity into a UFO or into some device. That was their plan with him. So if hopefully I'm gonna say when, these court cases come out, this is all going to be, you know, nightmare. So here's not, let's see. Oops, this won't load. Let's get this to load. Oh, this thing. You have to really be so, the shit they can do is no good. Oh, I just call it, so we have Charles here, space racism. I'm just calling it that because that's really what it is. It's a form of, you know, I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. Space racism is 100% real. Okay, yeah. So that's about the term Fox's haunting. Interesting that you made. Fox's haunting. I have not, that's the first time I have to feel into that. The dentist, yeah, we are all fractals from source, so we basically are split from, supposedly, yes. I don't know. That's what the hell believe. So, it's a religion when we get into that stuff. I hope so. That again, I hope so, right? Yeah, split consciousness sounds too dangerous. It is. It's not, you don't want to fuck with that stuff. Water, of course, they are water under the bridge. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That would be watch. You know, read more from podcast people from. That's MK Ultra. They were doing shit like that. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna bring MK Ultra out into Congress. I'm really curious to see where that goes, because that was the Montauk chair and like yeah. I suspect what they're going to do with the MK Ultra is the stuff that you can already read about, which is the mind control, the psionics, that kind of shit, right? Telekinesis, blah blah, right? I think they only. Oh yeah, it's but they don't kill me. I think it's more than that. So I have here, you know, I think they only kill people that could have real and immediate emotion in the world. They kill attack people, but they also they know letting someone live in paranoia and desperation is worse than death. I suspect that's part of I think that's just fun for them. I've kind of fucked with them because I found the dopamine pills. So like haha. There's that. But I don't know. I feel like there's something more, and I just can't. Yeah. Stealing consciousness and enslaving this living consciousness it's fucking insane. It is like some of the shit they can do, you lose your shit. I mean, you would just lose your shit. I mean, it's just like yeah. it would you like literally would like go batshit. Yeah. Oh, they showed locking consciousness in the movie The Electric State. They're showing it. Yeah. And this is even understandable in modern day, the micro tool. There are, I wouldn't call them fringe. I mean, there are people who are pushing the envelope in consciousness. I think that it's probably some deep state, you know, blocks where they don't want you to know a lot about that. But there is research being done in the science of what is consciousness. And they're making some great progress, you know, like on the surface. I mean, obviously the dark black operations know all about this stuff. That's part of the MK Ultra stuff. But again, they had and are working with ET technology concerning this stuff. So when Eeka was abducted by the Air Force, the regressive section of the Air Force, he was sent up to the Greys, and it was the Greys that were, again, taking not only genetic material, but working on, you know, I don't know if any mimics, we're concerned. I don't know if mimics were made of him as possible. So that is a huge concern. But anyway, yeah. Oh, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is in a movie where they show splits of consciousness. Cool. Yeah. Oh, the GATE program. Yep. Yep. Oh, there's so much. Semyasi. Semyasi's father is the powerful leader of one of their motherships. Oh, yeah, he's been very much involved in a lot of the diplomatic and military stuff as well. Oh God, Billy Meyer. That's well. I don't think she'd call Billy Meyer her friend. I'll say that. I'd have to ask her. Semyasi's involved with a lot of diplomacy right now. That's kind of she goes to the meetings. It's just she tries to be positive. Her husband is here on Earth. Her husband is an envoy. So she feels the feels, let's just say. It's this that's why, she gets it. She gets what's going on here. All of your family do. It's very painful. And she feels that. So she's doing a lot of diplomatic stuff. I'd have to ask her again. Ask her yourself. Tap into her, tell her, for sure. The Billy Meyer thing ended up being in her words, like not mine. I try to explain to her, you got to understand the time and the framework of what Billy Meyer was. Semyasi is she's lovely. She can be a lot of fun. She reminds me of an ABBA song. I could see her joining ABBA. But it was serious. You know what I mean? And right? This is serious business. And she was just really frustrated with Billy's he didn't get it. He didn't get what she was trying to show. And I tell her it's not he didn't do it on purpose. He just didn't get it, right? It's just, this is the 1970s. The 1970s, right? They didn't have computers in there. I don't know how many, if we have any old school people here, but in the 1970s, you had a television, right? You didn't have cable. You didn't have cell phones. Everything was analog. Everything was landline. You didn't have computers. This is Billy's world. He would have no idea what a UFO is, what a computer is, of what the stuff she's showing him. She time traveled the dude. She took a dude out of the mountains in the 1970s and time traveled. But you can't get it through her. You can't get it through her. She still has the greens, as the Italians would say. But it is what it is. That's all right. That's all right. No. Regressive section of the Air Force. Oh, yes. The Air Force was real bad. Thinking Space Navy Solar Warden. The Space Navy Solar Warden have expended. I don't know what they're. I don't. So many people try to gatekeep Semyasi, saying they are her husband and shit. Oh, I'm not surprised. She does have a husband. One. Not more than one. We do, actually, to be fair. We don't have monogamy unless you choose to have monogamy. But so we don't care about that kind of shit. But no, she only has one. Oh yeah, there's funny stories. It was one dude was on Jeff Maher, and he said he found an ET woman in a tree in a swamp in Alabama, and it was Semyasi. He called her Semjays. She said, I hear when she told me it's Semyasi. That's right. We have a dialect, so there's Semyasa and there's Semyasi, and it's just a matter of dialect. So a lot of folks will remember Erra, and it won't sound like Erra. It'll sound like Edda. and it's because there's like a there's a dialect that some hell have, and it's not just a hell on Erra, by the way. There's all kinds of different people on there. So rabbit ears for TV. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Oh, Billy Meyer. He was supposed to have met a being called Asket before he encountered somebody else. Maybe, yeah. I honestly never really paid him much attention. Only his videos. There's, I mean, he's legit. I mean, for sure. You know, he's still living too, right? Oh, that guy. Do you remember? Oh, oh yeah, the guy who said Sem Jays was in a tree. You know, they could use a name like that. You know, it's not. You don't know what kind of experience he had. You know, so you have all kinds of weird shit the government does. So they can. I never was in contact with Semjase until one day out of the blue, because I've only been in well, now I know I was, but I was only a little kid and I don't remember then. So when Eeka used to take me up when I was little, like 4 or 5, onto the ships, sometimes Semjase was there. So Eeka would take me up and show me around the ships. You know, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you have no idea, but it makes a difference. It's just a fun experience. Little kids, and for those folks who've had contact as a child, you'll know it doesn't mean anything to you. You know, it's kids don't have frameworks about what's real and what's not what real. Everything's real when you're a kid. It's all possible, right? Santa Claus is real. You can talk to animals. You know, it doesn't. When you're a kid, it's all grand. I never knew that these were ET. That to me, they were just friends. And I was right as a kid. They're not ET. They were friends. I knew that Eeka was a relative. Obviously, being a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, he's not my husband. You know, we don't have words like husband and wife. I just use that for ease of understanding. He was just a cool relative. And it got me fascinated with the Middle Ages because he didn't wear his uniform. He always would bring me up. He was in civilian clothes. So we wear a tunic, and it looks like a medieval tunic to me. And I thought, you know, my little kid brain was trying to make sense out of that. And I'm thinking, well, he must be this Middle Ages guy. I mean, you know, so I became fascinated with medieval England because of the way he looked physically. Blonde, blue, green eye. He has green eyes. Blonde, green eyes. And just to his faces, I'm like, oh, he must be an English guy from the Middle Ages. Yeah. Oh, the cigar-shaped alien starship there's many cigar shapes. Some of them are Earth ones. Some of them are. So my brother used to work on one of those when he first was, you know, getting involved, learning to be a pilot. He worked on and flew those cigar-shaped. Some cigar-shaped craft are hell cargo ships. Others, like the one that crashed in Tunguska, others are Draco reptilian ships. I don't know if this book has it. Oh crap! I have a picture of one actually. It's not in this book. I have a picture. I'd never be able to find it and pull it up. They're also long. Those are Draco, and then there's long cylinder ships that are ours, the U.S. military. The chances of actually seeing, I would say, a hell cargo ship are slim on this planet. Where would they be going? Possible, like I said, it's possible. Everything's possible. But if you do see those, it's likely a military. But again, anything's possible. Oh, Gary McKinnon. Yep. Who hacked into the US? He did. Yep. Saw the alien shit. Yep. That guy just mentioned it. Yep, he sure did. uh no. No, I don't have anything to do with them. I don't know who they are. I actually don't work with anybody, to be honest. Just you guys. I don't work with any like famous, whatever you want to call them. I went on Michael Salla a few times, but I don't go on anymore because I don't have. I told him, I said just his audience I wouldn't resonate with his audience, so it's just academic discretion. I don't work with anybody. Just like I said, just you guys. Well, I guess Louise Jones, if you want to, Psychic LJ. I have had Rebecca Rose on. Other than that, I'm very, very careful. This is that's right. I was Syrian in a past life. In Egypt, I was a Syrian. Okay, Sirius C, the third. There's Sirius A, Sirius B, and there's a Sirius C. Sirius C is where the syndicate is out of. Will was basically under house arrest in Sirius B. He was in the city, and he was trying to survive. So this is the thing. See, there are regressives on Sirius B. What we would call regressives. You see, the syndicate is allowed to pretty much do whatever it wishes, and that's on Sirius C. That's the ICC, Interstellar Corporate Conglomerate. There are operatives throughout, again on Earth, but throughout the galactic realms. They're like a mafia. They're a mafia. That's the best way to know. So this mafia is also on Sirius B. Will had gotten in trouble with them on Sirius B, and he was able to. He was starving. They were actually basically he was starving to death because he was under. They were stalking him because they were going to kill him, and he was able to get out. I don't know how he did it, but it was I mean years ago. I'd have to remember. I have to ask Linda. She'd remember more than I. It was several years ago, actually. There was a supply ship that was coming by, and he was able to get refugee status on the supply ship and get out. You know, he just made it, and then he joined the GFW. You know, what people call it GFW. That's just an Earth term. There are many federations. It's actually the Confederation. There's a C. It's the CFW, the Confederation of Worlds. He joined the Confederation of Worlds because Will is actually very good with, he's an engineer, and that's what he does now on the base. So he joined them. He's making his way to Linda. But yeah, it's a night. They're you know, they're all nice in a way. Oh, JFK. Huh. JFK knew about the alien firsthand. Yes, he did. That's why they killed him, because he was gonna, you know. If you read Frank Strange's with Val Thor, there's some mention of some of the shit that was going on. Oh, James Forrestal. Oh, that poor bastard. I always say James Forrestal. He was the first one taken out by the DS, really. Yeah. Yeah. That's what got him killed. There's something about James I liked. He felt like a good guy. He had a bad childhood. He had a very abusive, tough childhood, and it haunted him throughout his life. He had a hell of a life. He did it. I mean, he's an amazing guy. I'm actually surprised Major Kehoe was never offed. because he came right out. Flying saucers are real. Same for Jay. I mean, yeah. Anunnaki are also, yeah. Those, I don't like them. Right? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, my buddy, Rob Khalil. I like Rob. Rob's great. We've had Rob on here several times. I like what Rob's doing. Rob's giving a platform to everybody. Like he says, we put it out there. It's up to you what you wish. I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, everybody comes on the show. I think he's that's wonderful. He's archiving. Remember, Rob was taken out. I won't say who did it, but we know who did it. Rob had his channel taken down. It was absolutely the work that he had put into that. This is his life's work. Typical skeptic. And what they did to him, wow. They'll do it. They'll fuck you up. And they did it to Rob. And we know who did it. And yeah, love what he's doing. Yeah, that's I gotta get Rob back. Everybody's been so busy. It's not so much me, but other people. I've been farming. I farm all. That's what I do. Yeah. It was too. Yeah. There's no way they would have killed him. There's no way. You know, it's I don't know what they're gonna. Again, this is out of my wheelhouse. I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do, but I hope they do something. But yeah, he said it. Of course, everybody remembers Eisenhower. That was the warning of the industrial military complex in his famous farewell speech. That yeah. Oh, Robert Stan. I think I meant. Oh, Robert Stanley. I don't know. I mean, I watched some of it. It didn't resonate with me, but that's, that doesn't mean that's neither here nor there. I've never heard of Team Light or Servants of the Light. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've never heard of it. Oh, that Jesus, yeah. Ashton Forbes, he's awesome. All right. Yeah, they have no, the evil is like I said, the evil of these people is like, you go batshit crazy. It's just so yeah. Wow. Correct. Yeah. Yep. Nope. And that's what you've seen a lot with the government is controlled by them. They don't control. I mean, well, no. Yeah, right. They control the government. Yeah. There were attempts. So there were attempts made in the past decades to try to discern where some of the funding was going, because that was they were kind of, follow the money kind of thing. Because there were so many black ops projects that had crazy names like Project Lilac and, no one knew what they were or where the money was going. But anytime anybody would try to dig into it and find out, that they're like, whatever, shut up. This is, you're not in the need to know. And then of course we know that the think tanks, like what the places that Bill was working in at pretty much the time Bill was working there, the military hid all of its stuff, so it's can't be FOIA'd. You can FOIA. I mean, I don't know. People think FOIA is magic. They don't have to answer shit if they don't want to. But in order for the military, the dark military, to keep its hands lily white, it simply put all this stuff into private contractors. So you could go to the military and demand the release of their exotic tech. They haven't got any. And they wouldn't be lying. The military doesn't have any exotic tech. It's in the think tanks. And they rent it out to the military. Amy Eskridge talks a lot about the shit they do. I mean, it is just. So Dave Rossi disappears every once in a while for so many months. He works in the DOD. And yeah, they have to be careful. You actually get a walkthrough. So if you're an engineer, whatever, let's just, it's so compartmentalized. So if you're an engineer or something and you're going to work in some black projects, let's say, when you get hired, they give you a talk. And you're told they'll kill you. And at that point, it's too late. You're in. So it's a mafia. I mean, it is like shit, you know. So this is why I think Eisenhower wanted to bring in the First Army to invade Area 51 back then. I think they would have had their asses handed to them. I mean, this is the same thing that happened to the United States government when the Nazis flew their craft over the Capitol building. They would have got killed. They would have been destroyed. There was ET in there. Yeah, it's you need a good doctor. I never ever use any Western medicine. I only use traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. That's it. If they can't fix me, see ya. Who are those private companies? Who are the private companies who have pieces of it? Oh, Boeing, Lockheed, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, my Civ-like mind. That's what the My Labs fucked my head up. So I was like, there's probably others that I'm not mentioning that, but you know, your aerospace companies. I suspect MIT. There's a lot of defunct ones too. There's TRW, of course, Douglas, Digital, some of those. I think some of your, definitely your tech are involved as well. Your tech companies. Oh, Dave. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's hard to pin down. You can join his Patreon though. Dave Rossi's Patreon. Worth it. Yeah. Yeah. They were doing this is big. Well, now the Germans had this shit in the 1930s. How operational it was. It looks like, because we don't know really. It looks like the stuff got airborne in the 40s. That's my guess. But then when they went down to Antarctica after World War II, right? They went down to Antarctica, and that's when they set up base down there. From Antarctica, they launched a lot of operations. I would also say Argentina and Brazil. Well, of course, they had UFOs, so they're off planet. When you get into the Kuiper Belt, the Nazis were on Mars. They're also on the moon, and of course, they have the Kuiper Belt. So if you go to some of the planets in the Kuiper Belt, it's German. Yeah, the shipyard, right? The private, yeah. These military, they'll kill you and don't give a shit. I'm going to say in the 1930s, they were in contact. Yeah. Shit didn't really get moving though until, a little bit later. They crashed. Remember, 1933 was the Italian Magenta. I wonder if that was German. It's hard to get any real info on that because the ship was taken away. There's so many weird accounts of the Magenta ship. So I think there definitely were. This is what they do. They give you all kinds of wild, off the chart. Everybody has a different account. It looked like this. It looked like that. These blah blah blah. It's like, come on, you know. I wouldn't be surprised they were. So they. Some people say there were a different type of humanoid that were in that magenta crash. I don't think so. I think the people that said that they looked like they were Nordics in there, they're Germans. That's what I suspect. I think the Nordics in that craft that were killed were German. They're blonde haired, you know. A lot of people, and this is like I said, I don't know, but I suspect a lot of these accounts that people had in the 50s were German craft with Germans, and they were impersonating ETs. That's what I suspect. And they were also working with regressive ETs. Pluto has a big ancient. Yes, Dennis, the Pluto library. Yeah, Charles, the magenta. That was 1933. That, you know, it's before Roswell. It was in Italy. Yeah. Oh, everybody will. Everybody. ET. Everybody will kill you. Everybody wants to kill. Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, they're all, you know, shut them all up. You know, shut them all. Yes, everybody wants us dead. Well, some want us on their dinner plate, but other than that, it's I mean, it's nuts. This whole thing is like, what were we thinking? I almost wonder, did we know like what? I don't know. You don't mind a clean death, go back, whatever, you know, but that ain't even guaranteed. That's where it is. Shit show. Yeah. Well, we've been on for quite a bit. I think it's I got a busy day tomorrow because it's going to rain here tomorrow, so I'll be in the barn on and off. You know, because the horses are up at the barn, so I'll be a pain in the butt. We're gonna have heavy rain, so we can use it for sure. But anyway, like I said, I work with you guys. I don't work with anybody who, you know, unless they're accessible. You know, I only work with people who are accessible, who aren't afraid to ask or answer questions, who aren't afraid to question themselves. Like, and I told you here, right? I said a lot of that intel that Eeka would come to me and make me do a podcast because they had a gun to his head, basically. A lot of people are coming forward themselves with V2K or themselves being forced. And I always tell you guys, we're getting to 46,000 subscribers. It's a concern for me. I've been gaining 200 subscribers a day. I don't know how or why or what. So that's a concern. You know, I talked to Eeka about that. I said, they better be watching me, because once you get to a certain amount of subscribers, it can be dangerous. And what they do is, and I don't, a lot of people get angry. Oh, these people are grifters. They're bullshit artists. And it's like, you got to understand that sometimes you get a knock on the door and they make you an offer you can't refuse. So if I ever start throwing bullshit out at you, that happened to me. So, if I ever start talking woo-woo and being like, oh, I'm channeling the Arcturians, they threaten to kill your family. I don't care if they know that I don't care if they kill me. But, if they threaten animals or they want to kill Eeka, that's for sure. That is nothing would make them happier than to kill him. So, that they try to lure him out. They brought the Men in Black to me and tried to lure him out. But we know now. So they won't be able to kill him because he's on the base. And I told him, get the hell out of here, if something really like that goes down. But, they would most likely, in my case, threaten my animals. They'll come up with some creative, if they're going to get you, they know how to get you, right? Or they might say, if you don't start doing this bullshit, we're going to put child porn on your computer. And then I'm like, there's no way I'm going to jail. I'd kill myself first. So, I mean, this is the kind of shit they'll do. So you have to understand what's behind some people, as well as mind control. They can totally mind control you. I've had experiences just like you where they've done stuff to me and you can feel it come on. So yeah, this is war, right? War is ugly and it is what it is. So Ken, we have Ksamiasi, what's this? Her father, yep. And the other ETs are more powerful. No, they're not more powerful than Earth. No. You're in a Terran body, they're in a human body. So they don't have any more powerful. Now they can mind control, but they're benevolent, they would not do that. Okay. So they're only in an emergency. I've been mind controlled when I was suicidal. So only in an emergency will they mind control you. So they had to override the hits that I was getting from them. So for me, they would sedate me. Any off-planet person can mind control you. They won't if they're benevolent unless it's an emergency, but they're not more powerful. Because of philosophical situations, I don't have any idea what the plan is as far as politics are concerned. They would not, and it's not about non-interference. They actually don't have a non-interference policy, by the way. That's bullshit. That was the Confederation. And they dropped that in the 1980s. The non-interference is more about control, right? So they wouldn't swap one controller for another controller. And if any one race, you'd have to have, I mean, the Alliance, not the White Hats, the Alliance, the ET Alliance, would have to engage the planet itself. So the only way they would usurp some kind of command of the planet would be if this is just what I would assume. Like I said, as if there was under extreme term. I mean, something really bad would have to, a global cataclysmic threat would have to happen for that to occur. Like I said, they have weird philosophies, and I understand it because that would be taking control. So it makes sense. And this is what I tell people. This is why I don't vote. Because voting is giving your consent to be controlled. I do not consent to be controlled, so I don't vote. Humans have to start to understand this. You don't need a political structure. You don't need governments. So as you vote, so it basically it's the people on the street that's upholding this system. So I don't uphold the system. I walked away from the system. I do not need someone ruling over me. But where they'll go politically with that, I have no. I mean, ultimately, and I say, at the end of the day, we're not involved. So Bob, the cat's back. Bob Lazar is more. Yeah, Bob got a couple of good scares. Bob Lazar, yeah, they wouldn't mind control him. He would go into work and then walk out and not know where he was. I mean, they would mind wipe him. They used him. Bob was under their control. He would have total blackouts. Time where nothing, yeah. Oh, somebody wants this. He likes this. Thank you, Eeka, and Will says, yeah. They're disappointed. This is not what we came here to do. We came here to fix this place. Not, yeah. Yeah. But it's not over yet. It ain't over till it's over. Right. So I always say, look, the hyper positive hopium people, that's great. I'm all for that. I hope that happens. Just like the super negative people, you know, nobody's right. We don't know. You just have to feel your way through it. You know, that's part of the problem is we just don't have anything. You know, we really don't have anything. We're pulling, you know, trying to find needles in haystacks, you know, all over the planet. So that's what I find. I would never, you know, that's what, and that's just discernment, you know. You don't know. Without hard evidence, without hard facts, you don't know. So, yeah. Well, I thank everyone for all their work here on this planet. Those of us who are Terran and those of us who are from other places, we're all in this together. It's not on us and them. We can't pull all the weight. I always say that. The envoys, those of us from other planets, the ETs amongst you, can't pull all the weight. The Terrans have to step up. We all have to do this together. Everybody's ET. Everybody's neat. There is no us and them. We're all in this together. There is no separation. And the goal here is to pull this planet and all the beings on it, all kinds of beings on this planet. Oh, the animals, the trees, the plants. Free it. Give it something, give it what it deserves, basically. Whatever freedom means, right? What is that? What does that mean? Give it what it deserves. You know, take these fear-based regressives. That's really what they are. I'm not in that, right? I don't deal with criminal behavior. Let them handle them. But enough's enough. I'm tired of it. So, oh, it's my other buddy. Why are the hey buddy, why are the Pleiadians here to fix things? Well, a lot of things. We're not here to fix things because I don't think any one group of people can. You know, it's too big. They just came here to assist in different, you know, like the same way, like you go into a war zone, right? And you bring food to the refugees. Can you fix their world? No, but you can offer succor, right? You can offer water, you can offer food, you can offer shelter. We're just, all of us are just here together, right? To try to, it's just as simple as making life better for some dogs or cats or your neighbor, or, you know, spreading, you know, Eeka always says, look, what do you want to see? Be the thing you want to see. If you want to see more innocence, it doesn't mean be stupid, right? I mean, you got to protect yourself. Evil is real. Violence is real. But that's just about having a boundary. And what he says is, we did a whole podcast on that with him. He says, just be that. Be the thing you want to see. But have boundaries. That's what he said, you know. And he says, you know, the heart and the mind are connected. He says, but they're like a car. And you wouldn't get in a car and start it up if you had no steering wheel or no brakes. So you need to use your brain and your heart together. You need to have analysis. You need to have analytical process. And that is part of that union in your body, right? You don't get rid of your brain. And as he always says, you know, men have two, he has two brains, right? He's just being silly. But that's all important. That union. I don't think the Anunnaki are going to do shit, in my opinion. I don't. They're not, like I said, they're not a violent, it sounds awful, it sounds weird to say that because they did a lot of weird shit. They're not a violent regressive group. They're a service to self group. And they do what they did. Let me put it this way. They did what it takes to survive. Like a tiger kills a baby deer. It does what it does to survive. There are a lot of ET races and beings that do that. They do what they do to survive. And you have to have boundaries with those kinds of beings. So I doubt you'll see anything from them. And frankly, I wouldn't want anything from them. I wouldn't. So, yeah. That's just me, you know. I have trust issues. You know, I'm not going to lie. I have PTSD and trust issues. And so does Eeka at this point. You know, yeah. So, all right, guys. Yeah, I got a big day of horses tomorrow with the rain. So it was awesome having you join me tonight. Like I said, I don't work. I know people. I don't work with other people. I work with you guys. I don't have anything to do with. So yeah, you guys give me what you know, what you're experiencing. We try to put everything together and go from there. And to be honest, there's just not a lot right now, you know. As Dennis mentioned, it looks like we're in a holding pattern. I feel that. I feel like there's some stuff shifting. Nothing stays the same, right? Nothing ever stays the same. We know that. And all we can do is just kind of stay, you know, stay aware. Do what you think feels safe. Do what you need to do. Do your research. And that's it, really. I just tell folks, you know, and this is just my opinion and what Eeka, and it might be Eeka being a wet hen. I don't know, but I you don't want to be on the receiving end of shit. So just stay away from CE5 right now. You do your own if you want to, if you feel safe to do so. It's risky. Everything is risky, but we all make decisions. You know, can we make choices for ourselves? That is sovereignty. I'm not talking free will. I'm talking sovereignty, right? So we just feel it's not a good idea to be any group CE5s at the moment. Hopefully that nothing will ever come of that. But like I said, you just don't know. Like everything else, you just don't know, right? So there you go, right? Yeah, Stephen Greer does the CE5 meditations. That's fine. We're just saying don't go into crowds like that. If there's a crowd, yeah, I don't think they would target a Stephen Greer event. That's my impression. They might. Like I said, you don't know what these guys are going to do or plan or what they're capable of. So, oh, it's not the CE5 that's dangerous. It's the deep state doing something. Yeah, because you know they a lot of the ships that you see are them. You can't tell between benevolent military and not benevolent military. Impossible. You're not going to get vibes or feel vibes off of a military ship. An ET ship can do what it can do whatever it wants with you. I mean, these people who just like, oh, the ship felt loving, and it could be. It could be. Or they could induce that in you. You can't tell the difference. Now, there's fools who think they can. Well, good luck. Are all lions dangerous? Some might be friendly, you know. Are all tigers dangerous? Well, some might be, you know, it's like, that's rush. So people who think they're so brilliant and they're so psychic that they're playing, they are playing Russian roulette. Very few ET would take that chance. But hey, you do you. I just tell people you do you. You know, but no one's coming to save you. That's worth knowing. So, and there's shit they can do to you, like we were talking about consciousness, that, yeah. So, said, you know, they say, you know, stupid sure hurt, and it will. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to find out that stupid hurts. So, it is what it is, right? Yeah. But, all right. As always, as Frank Chili always says, right? So, for new folks, so Frank Chili used to always doing it with the see upstairs, and back to the world of illusion. So see upstairs means he just says see. We'll see you upstairs at a meeting or something. That's what I mean. Not dead. Swing low, sweet chariot upstairs. We always say see you upstairs, as in we'll see you on a ship, or maybe back on our planets in an astral or whatever, right? That's what we mean by see you. Cool beans. And you got any questions for any ETs? Ask them. Knock on their door and ask them, and they'll give you whatever you want to know, right? If they can, in a conversation, in a telepathic conversation. So yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you then. Take care. Good evening.